Very nice. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Why Wednesday, where I ask questions. And I wonder things, and I'm curious, and, this isn't necessarily the place for answers, although I will try to find some. This is just a place for me to ask a couple of questions that I have about myself or about the world around me, if there is one. As we discussed yesterday, I may be an uploaded intelligence. Maybe there is no world around me. Maybe this is all my imagination. Maybe I've been trapped by the super conglomerate in a single room where I am now going to constantly produce content without fully reaping the benefits of any kind of, value ascertained by the attention economy. Anyway, it's Why Wednesday, and today we're going to ask the question, why was I so sussed out about China in the second grade? Let's hit that theme song. Why Wednesday, the day that we ask all the questions. Hello, folks. Welcome to possibly the most serious day of the week, where we go through the deep questions and ask ourselves why. This week, we're covering the question, why was I so sussed out by China in the second grade? Which is a great question, because I was only in the second grade. There's a lot of things I don't think I was sussed out about in the second grade that I now realize are legitimate threats. China, probably the least legitimate threat to an American second grader, right? It's not like anyone was talking about sending me to war. I thought when I was in second grade, China was like the opposite. I thought it was like anti-America. You know what I mean? That old like detective series where there's the like white detective mouse and then there's like the black detective mouse, and they're like two polar opposites. I was very much convinced for some reason that China and America were like opposites, right? And honestly, like I don't even know if that was necessarily wrong when I was in second grade. Obviously in second grade I was a lot more comfortable with America. I didn't realize that. I wasn't like conscious of that, because in second grade I didn't know what another country was. Like I knew what China was vaguely, but I was just afraid of the China war. I thought we were going to be fighting with China, or I thought we were fighting China. We were, and I mean like in some like underhand economic way, like yeah, probably we kind of were back in the day, and we very much still are trying to do economic things against China for some reason, who are like also like I gotta say, part of the reason I'm asking this question is I just saw a video a little bit about how the Chinese economy works, and like whoa. Wow. That seems so much better than what we're doing with our economy. Do you know they plan stuff in China? They like plan things. The government has an idea of how like they want the economy to work, right? And it's really effective, at least has been pretty effective, it seems like, according to the numbers, with like something like poverty, right? Like a couple decades ago, I want to say like 50 years ago, or like even let's we could take it back 100. I think like a century ago, like I think China was doing pretty poorly, global economy wise, and then they like embraced communism and socialism. Cool. And yeah, obviously there's a lot there are some things that here or there probably haven't been great that China's done, but one of the things that you can't say that China can't do is like actually say what it wants to do with the economy, right? Like I am this half of this video is honestly like, I am trying to ask a question about why a second grader like me would have been like so utterly terrified of China, especially at that age when like there was no clear indication of like a physical threat, right? Because it doesn't make any sense. You hear all these like terrible things about China, you know, throughout like life in America, and me in second grade, I guess what I'm trying to point out here is like, I guess there was just one point where someone really hit me with that like anti-China propaganda, and yeah, second grade Cody was like, oh no, they're like the opposite of America. Um, yeah, but it turns out actually their economy is fucking dope, and I'm jealous of it. And like they've actually like worked to like heavily reduce like poverty. That's something that they've like managed to kind of accomplish. Their state can like punish any like, bad capitalist actors who, act outside of the benefit for the people of China. Again, and there are flaws with China for sure. This video isn't really about that right now. But I will say, in respect to, Cody's like fears about China, I must have been a bit of a nationalist as a second grader because, I think part of it is this like creeping sense of like, oh no, they're gonna like take over America. I think second grade Cody was low key a bit afraid that China was gonna take over America, which like, why would you want to at this point? you know like I'm looking around, and I gotta say though, if China did want to come in and help socialize some parts of our economy, like, I wouldn't hate that. I think the people running our state right now are pretty fucking terrible. So yeah, that's another thing that I think I've kind of come around on in a kind of humorous way. That like when I was in second grade, I'm pretty sure George W. Bush was the president, and I still thought America was like sick, right? Like I was in second grade, I was like, oh, America's so cool, whoa, China, ah, and meanwhile it's like President Bush is our president. What? And since then, things really haven't gotten much better. American governance, like pre George W. Bush, was also pretty awful, and it's only gotten worse. And I think that's, to address why was I just afraid of China in the second grade, that's one thing. But to address why I'm not afraid of China anymore is like a different thing that I'm also kind of interested in, because after being alive however many years past the second grade, you kind of wake up to the fact that like, oh, America's kind of evil, right? Just all the colonial projects that we have across the United Planet, you know. Like, check it. Who's got the most military installations across the world? Right? Probably America. Who's got the biggest, fuck you military that wants to kill everybody? It's like America. Who's got, a failing public school system? America. Who has like a severe housing crisis? America. Who's dealing with like extreme, levels of poverty and, inequality? It's like America, And I think like at the end of the day, it's kind of easier to not be afraid of China the more you realize that America, what's the big deal here? I could make a Crash Out Saturday episode about how fucking special Americans seem to think this goddamn country is. You know what? It's another failing republic. Okay? We're there. We are there. We have hit there. You know what China's doing? Thriving. I hate that word actually, but it's doing pretty well. Arguably better than we are right now. Get ready for the outro music. Here we go. Like and subscribe. 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 Maybe comment. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Maybe comment. All right, that'll do it for today. That was Why Wednesday. Thanks for watching.